Hi everyone, I'm Ahana.
And I'm Celine.
And welcome back to another episode at the
We Are podcast.
So, unfortunately, something's wrong with our mics and they're not working.
So, I got a new school computer and the audio doesn't work, so.
And my computer, I'll just tell a quick story. Well, we pull up our updates. So, I went to Vancouver recently to visit some family, and I thought it would be cold, so I literally, I was like, oh, it's gonna be cold and kind of nice temperature, 60s maybe, and it was literally so hot. It was the hottest I've ever been in. Cool. And because it's normally cold, they didn't have any AC, and their house is old too. So we lived in 98 degree weather for 3 days without any AC, and it's so humid because it's next to an ocean.
Right.
So it's humid and you feel sticky and gross. And I was just so dying. And then my dad asked for my laptop, and I took it out. And it was so hot to the touch, and I opened it, and the keyboard would turn on, but it wouldn't work. So it literally, and then I googled it. It was why isn't my screen?
Wait, are you sure it wasn't? You charged it though? Right?
Yeah, okay. I charged it,
and
and the keyboard turns on, and I googled why is my screen black, and it said the most common cause is overheating, and that's literally probably.
And it hasn't turned on since then.
It hasn't turned on since then, but something happened yesterday when we got back. It was the screen was so dim, but you could see it. And I turned on my brightness, it didn't work. It was just the screen was so dim, and then it would stop working after 5 minutes. But I think it's salvageable, maybe, hopefully.
Hopefully, because that would just be depressing.
Yeah, but it was a gift from my grandparents, so I feel so bad that I got fried.
That's so sad.
It's terrible.
You know what? Best of luck.
We're having so many technical difficulties. The amount of technical difficulties we've had because of this podcast is actually definitely.
Oh my god! Do you remember when we were making the website and we bought 2 or something, or we did something wrong?
And then I had a crisis.
And then we
and it was such an easy fix.
It was not a big deal.
It was
I don't even think we needed to fix it.
And both of our parents were it's fine, just call the person, and we were freaking out.
No, the amount of stop it, Teddy. Oh, do you want to? Let's see my dog.
Yeah,
Teddy, come here.
Oh, ew.
He's eating pasta right now. That's not a good thing.
No, thank you. Anyways.
Okay, well, I guess
Celine's dog is rambunctious.
I guess you're not seeing set. Let's just.
Oh,
I just showed the ground. No, they didn't see it.
This was bad.
Alright.
This is
see what I did. We're a bit unorganized today.
Yeah.
Most days.
But once my laptop's fixed, we'll be back. And we're also filming outside because there's.
You know, I kind of like it better than filming inside.
Yeah, it's peaceful and it's really quiet today. So
the background's better than my room. So.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
Let's delvage into what's.
Delvage. Oh, it's dive in and divulge at the same time. Wait, where does the W?
I don't know.
Okay, weird.
But there's actually a lot of good updates from the week because we skipped last week because I went to Vancouver.
Yeah, so there are plenty of great updates. So I'm gonna start us off with a very important update about Breonna Taylor. So Taylor. I said Taylor, but it sometimes words. So the officers involved in her shooting were actually convicted. So let's talk a little bit about Breonna Taylor first. So her case was a huge milestone for the Black Lives Matter movement, along with the George Floyd case and others. And thousands, so many people around our country were really angered by her death. And as some background on her, she was a 26-year-old African-American woman. She was a medical worker who worked in 2 hospitals as an emergency room technician and lived in Louisville, Kentucky. So she was a doctor, and she was a good person. And she was killed in her apartment on March 13th of 2020. It was extremely tragic, and it brought a lot of anger.
Yeah.
And so a little bit after midnight, police officers who were executing a search warrant, which is basically they have the ability to enter your house to look for something. They entered the apartment where Breonna Taylor lived after using a battering ram, which is a heavy object to get inside. So they didn't knock and then they opened the door and said hi or something. They broke in. And the police had been investigating 2 men who they believe were selling drugs out of a house a far distance from Breonna Taylor's house. But a warrant was signed for the police to enter Breonna's house because they believed one of the men selling the drugs had used her apartment to receive packages.
Okay.
And the man who had allegedly used the apartment to receive packages was actually Breonna's ex-boyfriend, who she wasn't dating anymore at the time the police entered her home. So anyways, Breonna Taylor was with her boyfriend, Kenneth Walker, when the police entered their home. And Kenneth got up when he heard a loud banging because he didn't know what was going on. And both Kenneth and Breonna called out to ask who it was. And Kenneth Walker later told the police he feared the person at the door could be Breonna's ex-boyfriend, so he was scared and he wanted to protect them. And the police broke the door off its hinges, and Kenneth Walker, he wasn't aware that it was the police, so he fired his gun once. And then the police responded by firing several shots, which hit Breonna 5 times, and then they fired another 10 rounds blindly into the apartment, and the wounds to Breonna were fatal. It was really terrible because she did absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
And the police said they knocked several times and identified themselves as police officers with a warrant, but Kenneth Walker said he and Breonna heard aggressive banging at the door and asked who it was, but they didn't hear a response. They didn't hear the police announce themselves. And it was just not executed well at all. It wasn't well planned out on the police's part, and it ended terribly. So on Thursday, I don't know what day that is, but, Thursday. The Justice Department filed federal civil rights charges against 4 Louisville police officers who were involved in the shooting of Breonna Taylor. And this, by the way, is taking place 28 months after her death. People were starting to get mad that it's been so long since she died and charges still haven't been filed, or they haven't been convicted yet, and finally they are. And former Detective Joshua James and 2 current police officers, Detective Kelly Goodlett and Sergeant Kyle Meany, are accused of falsifying information on a search warrant before and after Taylor was fatally shot during the raid at her apartment. And then also former Detective Brett Hankinson, who was the one who fired 10 shots through the patio door. He didn't even see who she was shooting at, but he just shot 10 shots. He's charged with 2 counts of deprivation of rights under color of law. And in terms of the response to this, a lot of people are happy that the people are getting, charged.
Yeah.
Attorney General Merrick Garland said the accused Louisville officers not only violated Taylor's Fourth Amendment rights, but also knew the allegations listed in the indictments would lead to a dangerous situation, one that resulted in her death. And he said, quote, Breonna Taylor should still be alive, which is very true.
Yeah.
And then Taylor's mom, Tamika Palmer, said she's waited 874 days for federal charges to be filed and has beaten, quote, everything sent to break her. So,
yeah.
I hope their family is doing okay. It's obviously an extremely tragic thing to happen, and it takes a while to recover if, there's always going to be damage done from that, but hopefully this can help them in the healing process.
Yeah. So that's I'm glad that finally something's being done for Breonna. It's definitely doesn't make up for anything that happened, but it's a step in the right direction, hopefully.
Yeah.
So that's our first update and one of the most important updates of the week. But on to another update, which also is very, very, very important. I'm going to talk about Britney Griner.
Oh, yeah.
So Britney Griner, we've had a lot of history with on this podcast.
Yeah.
We've been covering her for a very long time. And just for a bit of background, Britney Griner is a very, very good and popular WNBA player. She is known for being one of the biggest basketball names in women's basketball today, and she has participated in a lot of different basketball events around the world. And in one of these cases, she was traveling to Russia to do some sort of basketball thing there. I don't know quite exactly what it was, but she was going there for an event. And she actually had a small trace amount of cannabis oil inside her luggage from a vape pen, I believe. And in Russia, carrying vape pens, especially through airport, is very illegal. So they upon detecting like the cannabis oil and like the vape, they immediately like took her into captivity and arrested her for like various charges about that. And so she's been arrested for that, and she was in jail for maybe like just like a while. She got arrested in like February maybe of this year. So it's been like quite a few months, and she recently has been going through her trial and awaiting her sentence. And 2 weeks ago we talked about her trial and like what happened, but basically the judge finally made a decision, and they came to the decision that she would be sentenced to 9 years in jail.
That is an extremely long time for such a like petty offense or like a low level crime, you know, such as that. Like, yes, it, you know, broke the law, but I mean, 9 years is a long time.
And you probably are wondering, like, they can't be that unreasonable. Here's why they're sentencing her that much. I do believe that if it was a regular person, they would have done it, like, a lot less.
Oh, yeah.
But because Britney Griner is such a person of influence, and because we're in the midst of the Russia and Ukraine war, Russia is kind of using Britney Griner as a political pawn to sort of have a sort of like leverage over the United States and like sort of like make negotiations with the United States and sort of scare them in a sense, because you know Britney Griner is such an influential person for so many people. They're sending a message to the US that like don't interfere with our war, like, you know, it's best for you to stay away, you know. That's it's like kind of she's being used basically as leverage. So that's definitely, I think, plays a huge part in her sentencing. But in the U.S., everyone is like people are putting so much pressure on the U.S. government to take action, and it definitely is like one of the biggest deals right now in like politics. But for a little bit more background on her sentencing, her judge was Anna Sotnikova of the Khimki City Court. She delivered a sentence of 9 years and filed her a fine of $16,000. $1,000 plus 9 years in jail.
Oh my gosh, that's a lot.
Yeah, they took into account her speech that she gave, and basically during her speech she said like, I want to say that I had no intent of breaking Russian laws. She actually also said that she didn't know the vape pen was there. She said it like fell into her luggage by accident, or like it was in one of her clothes and she like accidentally put it in or something. And she like said it was like an entire accident, like she didn't even know she was bringing it with her. They said they took that into account, but they still put her in 9 years of jail. Well, her prosecutors did ask for 9.5 years. It's not that much of a difference. It's just half a year less than what they asked for. But it was definitely like super like crazy. And just for like a more in depth about what happened when she got like initially arrested, she was 31 and she was at the Moscow airport where they found less than 1 gram of cannabis oil in her luggage. So that was it. And then she pleaded guilty to the drug charges because she did carry the cannabis with her, but she said like it was an accident, it was such a small amount, like I didn't really know it was there. In terms of like the US's like response to this, they are very like sad,
angry,
you know, like, they said we're very disappointed, but like we're trying as hard as we can to like negotiate with them. And I think another reason that the Russia's like keeping such a large like sentence on her is because we actually have someone in U.S. captivity that the Russians want back. He's like a person of influence in Russia, so they're kind of like, the U.S. is talking about negotiating like a trade for
like swapping prisoners?
Swapping prisoners.
Okay.
So it's very still up in the air, and it's definitely awful for her family.
It's terrible to like 9 years in prison, $16,000
for a gram of cannabis
is such a lot for such a, you know, like small thing. Yeah, it's terrible. Well, I hope we can negotiate something, because
so that's definitely interesting. All right,
you ready for the next one? Okay, I need to find it. Okay, so the next update is about Biden getting COVID again. So he actually already had it on on July 21st was when he first started experiencing like mild symptoms, and we actually forgot to do an update about it. I don't know why.
Yeah,
but we just forgot. And he ended up taking Paxlovid, and Paxlovid is like a medication. It's developed from the Pfizer company, which they've administered vaccines, so they're like a, I don't know, COVID company. I don't know.
A pretty
well-known common company. And Paxlovid is an antiviral treatment that helps to reduce symptoms of COVID, specifically so people don't end up getting hospitalized. And it does reduce the rate of hospitalization and death in people. And it's a combination of two different antivirals. One of them prevents the virus from replicating, and the other makes the first antiviral stay in your system for longer. So it's like a boosting agent kind of. So it's given in 2 doses, administered daily, and you have to take it over the course of 5 days. They haven't tested it for longer periods of time, so taking it for a week or 2 weeks. So no one has taken it for that long. So it's 5 days. But anyways, so Biden did a 5-day round of using Paxlovid, and his physician said in a statement last Saturday that Biden had tested positive again after he had tested negative before, which is a rebound case of COVID, which is where you have COVID, it goes away, you test negative, and then you test positive again. And that's something that's actually not necessarily common, but it's definitely been seen before with taking Paxlovid. Fauci actually experienced this when he took Paxlovid too, and it comes from other COVID medications too, the rebound thing. But Paxlovid is very effective though. As I said, it reduces the risk of hospitalization and death by 89%, which is a lot.
Yeah.
So, and Pfizer said that it continues to monitor real-world data and remains confident in the treatment's effectiveness in preventing severe outcomes from COVID-19, and they also said rebounds are uncommon and not, quote, uniquely associated with Paxlovid, kind of just COVID medications in general. And Biden is feeling well. He was experiencing the return of a loose cough, but besides that, he had no other symptoms. And actually, update on Saturday, which was August 6th, Biden tested negative again. So he's going to wait for another negative and isolate till then. But once he tests negative again, then he'll be able to do stuff.
I think he left the White House for the first time.
Oh, yeah. He was going to survey, I think it was damage from, was it a flood maybe? And I don't remember where it was, but he was going to go on a trip. I think it was Monday or Tuesday or something.
And I think he just left to do something. I don't really remember what it was,
I think that was it, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Let's do the last update for this half. Okay. So the last update for this half is going to be about a bill that is very important.
Yes.
And I'm excited about talking about this. Anyways, this is called the Inflation Reduction Act, and it is the largest climate emission bill ever. Ever. And I was, really excited about this bill because it is, it's just such a big step. And it is, basically the climate portion of the bill uses $369 billion in funding.
Wow.
Which is a lot of money. But here's why it's gonna help us gain more money in the future, if that makes sense. So it would basically actually I'll get into why it would make us money later, but I'm just gonna start off with what it is.
Okay.
So the bill is basically a large bill. It covers a lot of different things, mostly climate, but it also covers parts of the economy, inflation, etc. So the main goals of the bill are to limit emissions by 40% by 2030. So that's in 8 years, we'll be cutting down our carbon emissions by 40%.
That's a lot.
Which is insane. It's definitely not enough still, because our carbon emissions are terrible. But it is a huge step in the right direction. There will be a lot of investments made in marginalized communities, meaning that communities with poverty, underprivileged communities, communities with people of color who are like disproportionately affected by health issues and like low income. Those are going to be invested in deeply, which is so good. They're going to develop so many more clean jobs, which is so interesting because, you know, clean jobs not only are like good because it's making more jobs, which will help the economy, but it will also help people transition to jobs that are good for our environment. And they're also going to like try to make a bill for technology for disadvantaged communities and clean energy. And another thing that's like really interesting is that they're going to try to incentivize clean energy, meaning that like you get tax cuts if you use like electric cars.
Oh yeah, I know they do some things with some companies where like if they use like, you know, like certain things that are bad for the environment, they get taxed more.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like the opposite of that.
They're also like doing a lot for environmental conservation, like deforestation, and they're also gonna. This bill is also like greatly designed to help lower inflation, which I thought was so interesting. Like it's
because that's like actually the main. It's called the Inflation Reduction Act, right? So that's kind of one of the main things. Although climate change is a huge part of it. But so how is it gonna like reduce inflation?
Okay, I'll explain. So like a part of this is also like gas prices going down, which is like a large thing that people have been complaining about. So basically part of the bill is actually that they're gonna like tax like methane charges on like oil and gas companies. So like they're actually like gonna tax them, which will help gas prices go down. And on top of this, when we're investing so much into clean energy in our economy and like we're putting that money in, it's like basically stimulating our economy so that like our economy is stimulated and inflation like stops happening, because inflation is basically happens when our like economy is sort of not like collapsing, but like it collapses because of inflation. And so like when our economy is stimulated, like prices stay like pretty like even and like competitive. So it will definitely help with that a lot. On top of that, it will like basically raise a bunch of government revenue, and its plan is to raise over $700 billion over 10 years in like through different sectors, and it's gonna like also help a lot of like people with health insurance and stuff like that. So this bill actually passed the Senate recently in a vote of 51 to 50, meaning that every single Republican voted against it. And the tie-breaking vote was made by Vice President Kamala Harris.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I was like, who's that one vote?
And basically you might be wondering like what about the filibuster? It wasn't. Apparently, they used like a filibuster proof process to approve the measure.
I do know that like certain things don't need a filibuster. Like I don't know why, but it's that way. And I guess for this, like
certain bills like you don't need a filibuster, which is kind of weird. But I guess in this case,
I mean, I feel like obviously if there was a filibuster, this would never be passed. So.
Yeah, never. But it was like a very, very 16-hour long vote Saturday night until Sunday afternoon.
All the Democrats
voted
for it.
The only thing it needs to pass to like be signed in by Biden would be the House, and the House is Democrat controlled, and Democrats are typically more.
Does everyone
every Democrat supports it in the Senate at least. I don't know about the House, but Democrats are typically more like concerned about environmental issues, so I do think it will pass through the House because the House is Democrat controlled.
Probably. So you know what, this bill, cross our fingers, might be passed.
So it's good, definitely amazing for the environment. So we're excited about that. And that's it for this half.
I think that ends off the first half, but you know, as always, stay tuned because we have some more updates. And all right, bye. Back to the second half. Oh, it's so good. I should be a singer. When you hear me on the radio.
When you hear us on the radio for a podcast, never for Celine singing.
No. Oh my god, what if I become a famous singer and then I like launch our podcast by being famous, and that's how, at this point, maybe.
Honestly.
You never know. We'll be like the harmonizing.
That could be your background music.
Oh my god, yeah. I will never be a singer. That's not happening.
Anyways.
On
to a depressing update.
Wait, is this depressing?
Kind of.
Wait, which? Oh, I want to do the Taiwan one because that one's interesting.
Okay, isn't that? It is kind of depressing. Anyway, continue.
It's interesting. I love this. No, I don't love this Taiwan thing. I just like it's very interesting to learn about.
I feel like we do debate. I feel like there's gonna be a topic about Taiwan.
Oh my god, I would be so happy if there's a topic about like Taiwan or Yemen. Oh my god, you have no idea.
I feel like there also might be one about like Palestine.
Oh wait, I actually looked at all the possible debate topics and for next year. I think so. Wait, we'll talk about this later. I forgot to tell you. But anyways, Nancy Pelosi decided to visit Taiwan.
Against much advice.
Yes. So I talked about this in a past update, how like she was kind of on the board about whether she was going to go or not. And I was like, she's not going to go. She went. So
she did go, in fact.
So let's talk a little bit about Taiwan. So Taiwan's an island in Asia, and Beijing, which is a part of China, wants control over Taiwan, but Taiwan's like, no, we want to be independent. And Taiwan has its own constitution, they elect their own leaders, so, you know, they're functioning like an independent society. But Taiwan was under control by China in the 17th century, and China is basically saying because of that, Taiwan was originally a Chinese province, and they should have control over Taiwan, but Taiwan disagrees. So, this week, Nancy Pelosi, who's the Speaker of the House of Representatives, decided to visit Taiwan. And many people warned against this visit and said it was dangerous just because there's so much tension between China and Taiwan that going to Taiwan would be like sending out to the message to China that we stand with Taiwan instead of you, kind of.
Yeah.
And she's the first person in her rank, Nancy Pelosi, to land in Taiwan for over 30 years. Although the U.S. has, they provided Taiwan with military equipment, and we have, a pretty good relationship with Taiwan, we haven't really shown any big signs of support of Taiwan because we're scared of angering China, because it is a reality. And actually, in fact, Biden himself never officially, allowed the trip or gave permission. Oh. He didn't say she couldn't, but he didn't really officially say she could.
Yeah.
And he also told reporters last month that the US military didn't think the trip was a good idea. And now yeah. So anyways, there was also fear that the trip would violate the One China policy, which is a US policy where basically we recognize that there's only one Chinese government. So if we're visiting Taiwan, that's basically saying that Taiwan has sovereignty. Wait, sovereignty? Is that
Sovereignty.
Sovereignty. Is that how you say it?
I think so. It's like a sovereign country.
Yeah, sovereignty.
No, it's sovereignty.
Sovereignty.
Yeah.
Sovereignty.
Why are we so stupid?
We are stupid.
Sovereignty.
Oh
it's the summer brain talking.
Yeah, I've done nothing this summer. So anyways, sovereignty. What was the thing?
They would recognize Taiwan as a sovereign state.
Anyways, so why did she go in the first place? Basically, Pelosi was saying that the trip was an obligation for the U.S. to stand with democracies against autocratic countries. So, she was saying we need to stand with Taiwan. They're a democratic country, and we can't stand with China. Taiwan needs its independence kind of thing. And she arrived in Taiwan on Tuesday, and the day after she arrived, Pelosi met with Tsai Ing-wen, who is the president of Taiwan, and, Tsai. I don't know why I said Thai. I, wrote it wrong. Tsai. Sorry. Tsai Ing-wen, who's the president of Taiwan. And Tsai said she was committed to working with the U.S. and thanked Pelosi for her visit. And, all great and stuff until it's not. And repercussions. China was not happy at all with this trip. They cut off contacts with the U.S. on Friday over some big issues. Beijing said Friday it's going to cancel military phone calls between area commanders, defense meetings, and cooperation on anti-drug efforts with the U.S. And they're no longer going to take part in talks on maritime safety and climate change. So they're basically cutting off contact and we're not talking to you anymore about stuff like this. China also launched military drills and sent warplanes, naval ships, and missiles really close to Taiwan. And Taiwan's defense ministry said Chinese warships and aircraft continued drills in waters around the island. And they had crossed the medium line, which is the halfway point between the island and mainland China, which was, it was detailed as a provocative act because they're like provoking Taiwan. And on top of this, China is also pressing sanctions on Pelosi. In a statement, a spokesperson said, quote, "In response to Pelosi's egregious provocation, China decides to adopt sanctions on Pelosi and her immediate family members in accordance with relevant laws of the People's Republic of China." Basically, yeah. So, in response, some people don't support the trip because they said it's adding fuel to the fire. Like, look what happened. China's pressing sanctions. They're not cooperating anymore. But then some people say that backing out of the trip or not going would basically show that we're scared of China and we're not willing to, like, go against them ever, or, like, do things independently that we want to do. So there are two different sides to it.
I'm getting mixed emotions about it.
Yeah, there are definitely different sides, but, you know, Pelosi.
Yeah, and just for a little bit of context about China and Taiwan, China's, like, kind of claiming that Taiwan's, like, a part of China and Taiwan wants to be its own country. So they're kind of, like, fighting over that, basically. Yeah. In the simplest terms.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like Russia and Ukraine almost, like, it's similar.
A little bit,
it's a little similar.
So far, China hasn't invaded Taiwan. Hopefully
people are thinking, like I heard something that was, like, China, like, might invade soon because, like, Russia and Ukraine is, like, like, people are so occupied with Russia and Ukraine that if they invade Taiwan, people wouldn't, like, you know, bother China too much about it. Or they would bother, like, I don't know how to word this, but, like, there's two different wars, so, like, they can't put all their attention onto China because of the Russian-Ukraine thing is happening, so it'd be easier for them to invade, but I don't know.
Okay.
We'll see what happens. Okay, so the next update we have is about monkeypox, and it's been kind of all over the news. Basically, the monkeypox is a disease passed through different ways. You can actually get it from just, like, laying in a bed with someone.
Yeah. Or can you get it from, like, touching clothes too or something? Or, like,
yeah, it can be, like, spread through bed sheets, I've heard, and, like, different things like that. And it's basically, like, it's like it starts off, like, as a rash near different areas, like openings, and you can go through, like, different stages of the rashes. Like, it can start being a pimply or blistery, and you can get scabs. Other symptoms include chills, swollen lymph nodes, exhaustion, muscle aches, headaches, respiratory symptoms, and fevers. And it can actually, like, be really dangerous for a lot of people, and so that's why it's, like, a very, like, big deal. And the Biden administration actually recently declared it a public health emergency. Yeah, it's, like, booped me on the nose, but
wow.
Anyways, the Biden administration on Thursday declared it a public health emergency, which is a big deal because that means that it's, like, officially on a large radar and it's an emergency. So that is, like, definitely going to bring a lot of awareness to it and a lot of more caution towards it. So basically, the monkeypox outbreak has been going on for a couple of months now. I think it was first identified in mid-May, and there was more than, I think probably now, like, probably around 7,000 cases in the U.S., and they've been identified in every state except for Montana and Wyoming as of August 8th. So it is definitely, like, making its mark all over. And there has been a lot of criticism on how the government's been handling this because they actually, like, after the first cases, like, sort of came out, they like, waited a very long time to get vaccines for the monkeypox. So they waited more than 3 weeks after the first confirmed case to order stocks of the monkeypox vaccine, which is, like, kind of, a lot of people are saying it's irresponsible because, like, immediately when it was detected, they should have, like, gotten, you know, vaccines.
Right.
And it can infect anyone. It can infect anyone, but majority of the cases in the U.S. have been among men who have relations with other men, including, like, gay and bisexual men. So, like, a lot of people are creating stigmas around it that it's, like, you know, a gay virus and stuff like that, similar to HIV and AIDS. When in fact, I just want to, like, say that it can happen to anyone. And so it's important not to create stigmas around it and, like, think that you're safe from it, even though you may not be.
You may not be.
Yeah. So it definitely.
So, yeah, definitely take precautions, wash hands, you know,
clean your pouch. And
Don't
make sure
share water with 50 people. I think it's gross when people do that.
Yeah, I don't think it's a mouth.
I don't know if it can be spread that,
yeah.
but I just wanted to say that.
Yeah, just
anything.
But mono,
mono,
can get
yeah.
from,
There's so many things
yeah.
Because people who pass around water during class or something.
Yeah.
No,
I know at our middle school that was a trend. A lot of popular kids would pass around water. I don't know.
Stop.
It's strange.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just important to be really sanitary. But hopefully the vaccines will be handed out to anyone who wants it. And yeah, it's important to get tested for a lot of diseases and just get vaccinated for things, just to be extra safe. Okay.
Yep. All right. Move on to the next update, which is going to be about Alex Jones. So let's talk about this. So Alex Jones is being ordered to pay $49.3 million over false Sandy Hook claims. So before I go into him and that whole thing.
Why did I think that was a girl? I don't know why.
Alex Jones? No.
Yeah,
No, he's a guy.
Okay.
I think no, it is. It is. So anyways, the Sandy Hook shooting was a massive shooting on December 14th, 2012 that left 28 people dead and 2 people injured.
And it was in a high school.
Yeah.
By the way. So it was.
Or no, it was Sandy Hook Elementary School.
Oh, elementary. Sorry. I knew it was in a school. Sorry.
Yeah.
I just misspoke there.
Yeah. So the shooter, whose name was Adam Lanza, murdered his mother and then proceeded to shoot 20 children and 6 adults at Sandy Hook Elementary School, and then he took his own life. One of the deadliest shootings in U.S. history. Extremely tragic, right? Victims suffered, the family suffered. It was really terrible. And let's go into Alex Jones now. So Alex Jones is a radio show host and a popular conspiracy theorist. So he's extremely far right and very conservative, and he owns InfoWars, which is a far right conspiracy fake news website. So anyways, he was convicted for defamation, which is a false claim that ruins someone's reputation. So if you, of course, probably everyone remembers the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard trial, where they were both suing each other for defamation. And so it's basically making a false claim. And he said that no children died during the shooting. It was all a massive hoax designed to take away guns, which, that's a terrible and insensitive thing to say. And it's really horrible. And the lawsuit was filed by the parents of Jesse Lewis, who's a victim of the Sandy Hook shooting. And he's being ordered to pay all that money in punitive damages, and punitive damages are money someone has to pay to make sure they don't do the same thing again, or to off-put other people from doing that. So yeah, it's pretty terrible, but
that's awful.
They have to pay some money.
Good for that. Good for not good for him, but good for everyone else.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, so I have one last update for me, and then Celine has one more after me. But my last update is about the Justice Department.
It's the first one. All the way at the top.
Okay. So the Justice Department filed a lawsuit on Thursday against Idaho, and basically it was a legal action pursued by the Biden administration to protect abortion access. So the Supreme Court recently overturned Roe v. Wade, which was basically allowed for abortion access to everyone. And Idaho was one of the first sort of states to enact a trigger ban sort of situation, where they were starting to ban abortion very strongly. Quickly, strongly, whatever. And recently there has been there has been charges filed by the Justice Department against it, because there's this thing called the Emergency Medical Treatment and Labor Act, which basically says that every hospital in the U.S. must provide, quote, necessary stabilizing treatment to patients who arrive at their emergency departments while experiencing a medicine emergency. So basically they said that in some circumstances, where if the mom is going in danger, then they have to perform abortions. And so they said Idaho's law, which is set to take effect on August 25th, is kind of it basically will make it very difficult for women with that are experiencing health issues during their pregnancy to access that health care. So they're basically like trying to make sure that like if a woman's health is in danger because of pregnancy, that they will have access to like be able to save themselves and like other things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So that was basically like the main part of their suing thing. There's like a lot of things that go into it. So it came like several like weeks after different actions, and it would also like bring litigation and enter like lawsuits with some more private parties. So we'll see where this goes. It's definitely like a big deal as everything's just so fresh. But in other news, Kansas actually like decided to keep abortion legal for up to 22 weeks. This is shocking because Kansas is a typically like red leading state, so it's a very shocking thing.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, are you ready for the last update?
Yes.
I gotta scroll down all the way.
All the way.
We did not. Okay, my last update of the day, we're gonna finish it off on, sort of a lighthearted, interesting note.
Weird.
Is
kind of weird.
I mean,
strange.
It's
Call it
interesting.
what you want.
I don't know. I think it's a new political party is actually forming.
Yeah.
So, we have Democrats and Republicans, but we also have other parties, which I feel like are entirely neglected, because, like,
no one cares.
all I know is, like, Green Party and, like, Libertarian, and, like,
Yeah,
that's
I
the
actually,
only
like,
thing
I
know.
only know Green Party.
Yeah,
like,
that's, like, all I know. But anyways,
they're, like, just so insignificant in, like, the
like,
scheme of things.
it's so hard to
Yeah.
get enough votes for that candidate to be, like,
Has
nominated.
there ever been?
I don't think
I
so.
don't think there's ever
I don't think
been.
I think it's always been Democrats and Republicans running against each other.
Even in, like, the Senate or, like, the House of Representatives, I don't think there's a single, like,
it's
non.
like, so our country is very those two parties.
Yeah.
So this party wants to be different, and it's called
This
Forward.
party's not like the others. Sorry.
It's called Forward, and it describes itself as a party of centrists who don't like extremism. And centrists are like people in the middle. Like, they're not fully far right, which is like conservative, or fully far left, which is liberal.
Yeah.
Why was I forgetting the words? I don't know. So they're not like entirely Republican or Democratic. And Forward was founded by a group of centrists, including former Democratic presidential candidate Andrew Yang and former Republican New Jersey Governor Todd Whitman. So like Democrats and Republicans have come together to found this new party, or like former Democrats and Republicans. Now they're Forwards.
Yeah. Oh, what is their motto? Tell the motto.
Okay, wait, let me find it. Okay, the party's motto is not left, not right, forward. I kind of like it.
It's like, we're not moving left, we're not moving right, we're moving forward. It's something that we would say probably.
Yeah, it
like
works.
not in this context, but I feel like we would say it for something else.
Literally,
like we would like start a volleyball team. And
oh my god, we would be like,
we're moving forward.
Wait, we need a motto for we are like.
What is it?
We're not. Oh, isn't it like we are scientists?
Oh yeah.
We are the future or something.
Yeah.
But anyways, so other parties have never really broken through, but they're like, we're gonna be different, and especially after the fallout with 2021 from like the 2020 election with the whole insurrection and all this stuff happening, polling showed widespread support of a fresh third party that would offer something different than like what we have now. And a lot of people said they wanted like a new third party. So maybe Forward will be that new thing, Yeah. And so far, Forward has already raised over $5 million, which is a decent amount, but like obviously like Democrats and Republicans have like a ton of funding and way more than that. But this is also a new party. And they haven't really let out a detailed platform yet in terms of like their views on big issues like abortion and stuff like that, or like tax cuts, so they haven't,
I'm interested to see like what
I so am, because I feel like with issues like those, it's like, how can you be moderate with that? Like, that's...
Yeah, I feel like it's normally one or the other, so it's going to be interesting to see what they say.
It's going to be very interesting, yeah.
Or they might do, like, for one issue, they're, like, on this side, and for another issue, they're, like, on the other side.
Yeah, or...
they'll just be in the middle for all... I don't know.
I don't know how you can... How can you be in the middle?
I don't know.
I feel like you have to feel one way or the other, unless you do, like, non-drastic...
I feel like you could do, like, conditional opinions.
Maybe,
like,
true.
for guns, you could say... people should be allowed to have guns, but only certain people.
Yeah,
not
or like,
everyone.
but only if we do background checks or something like that. I don't know. Like, it
Like,
could be
there
like
could
that.
be like conditional. I
Yeah.
feel like that's what a lot
like
of
not
their views
fully
will
like
be.
you're not getting rid of them, but you're not like letting everyone have access.
Yeah.
That could be it. You could be right.
Yeah.
So they're also gonna advocate for ranked choice voting, which is like where you get to rank your candidates from like which I actually like that idea personally. Like I feel
that
like
would be so
it's
hard to
so-
like get the demographics for though.
Yeah.
But that's the only thing. But
I think that's an interesting idea because like
it is
you can only do like vote for one person, but like you can rank first choice, second choice, third choice. You know, like however many. And another thing they're doing is hold on, is like, open primaries, which is where you don't have to affiliate yourself with a party to like vote for that nominee. So like if you're voting for Biden, you'd have to affiliate yourself with the Democratic Party, whereas this one you don't have to do that. You can just vote for whoever.
I like that because I feel like some people, even though they're from a different party, they like choose candidates versus parties sometimes.
Right.
Like I know a lot of people who would say that they're like independent and they just like choose whoever the candidate they like better.
Yeah. So I'm very curious to see where this party goes. So
yeah,
Who
maybe
knows?
we'll just like not do anything. Or
maybe
it could be the
maybe
next
it's
big
like
thing.
maybe our new president is gonna be from the Forward Party.
Yeah.
And they're gonna be like,
Let's
not
move
left,
forward.
not right.
On that note, do you have any good news?
Oh, school's starting, but that's not good news.
It's
I'm not
semi-good news
excited.
because I feel like I have nothing to do, so it's.
Here's the
gonna be
thing. I don't.
pointless,
Number
but-
one, I do not want to wake up early.
Oh, ugh. And I have to wake up extra early because I have to drive to school now. So like,
I know. So like, wait, why do you have to wake up extra early?
because I'm slower than my parents, and my dad like makes a
How
bunch
much?
of,
Slow?
like yeah.
I'm still gonna wake up at like 7,
and
but
that's
that's
like
too
part
early.
too because we have to like get out of the car
Oh,
and
I
switch
agree.
positions.
But like, number one, I don't want to wake up early, and I just don't. I don't want to go to school.
I have mixed emotions.
I mean, though I'm excited to like. Actually, I don't know.
I don't know.
yeah.
We're excited to do clubs. I think our clubs would be.
I'm excited for clubs. Clubs are fun, not classes
Yeah.
or anything else.
Oh, my good news is I got another piercing on my ear.
Oh yeah, looks good.
Can you see it? I don't know if you can see it. But I like ear piercings, so.
Yeah. Yep. Good. Stop. It's so annoying when you do that. Anyways, on that note, goodbye.
Bye. Stay tuned.
Stay
Check
tuned.
out our
Bye.
podcast. Follow us on all our social media at weare_youth.org and stay tuned.
All right. Bye.